Hello there, and it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd have a quick look at this little piece of kit. And it's not quite what you'd think. It's not a microcomputer. It's actually a Tandata TD4000 data terminal, and it was used to connect to the old BBC, the British Telecom's Prestel network back in the early 80s. And these were designed for basically for home use, or possibly for use in like travel agencies and things like that, to access the Prestel system, which was a big mainframe computer you could dial into and access data from, and reserve flights, check bookings, things like that. Quite an interesting system, but it's long since dead now, and this thing's pretty much useless. I bought a stack of old microcomputers off eBay. I wanted a few more Amstrads to recondition, and this came in with the lot. It just came as the keyboard itself, which I will say is a really nice keyboard to use. It's really responsive. It's a great keyboard, and there's no surprise because when we open it up, there we go, we find it's a cherry keyboard. And as you know from PCs back in the day, in the early 90s when I first got a PC, mine had a cherry keyboard, and they are really very good. Anyway, even if I don't end up using this whole thing for anything, I may see if I can use that keyboard on something else. It'd be really good to build a Spectrum round it or something. There's plenty of room in here, perhaps do a Spectrum mod, if I can't do anything with this unit as it is. And that's what I'm planning to do. First thing I need to do is see if I can get the thing to power up. Now, originally I had a look on the web and I found that it used 8 and 14 volts DC input. Now, I thought that was a bit odd, and I soon realised that yeah, it would use 5 volts and 12 volts, and just find something to point with. Here we go. We've got a 5 volt and a 12 volt voltage reg there. So all I've done is I've linked them out, and I'm feeding it 5 volts and 12 volts direct in through. I've managed to find the right connector for it, which is that little 4-pin there. It's the only one I had, but it is the correct one for the back. I've used the correct pin out, so obviously the 14 volt line is now getting 12 volts, and the 8 volt line is now getting 5 volts smoothed DC from my power supply. Let me just get that back in there. There we go. And the power supply I'm using, it's just a cheap and cheerful, I think it was off one of them external 3.5-inch hard drives, but it produces 5 volts, 12 volts, 2 amps a piece, which should be plenty to run this thing. And there you go. So far, right. First of all, I've got it to power up. I'll show you what I'm getting so far on screen. I've not gone terribly far with it yet, but we'll see. If I'll just move the keyboard to one side and switch my monitor on. Yes, there's my monitor coming on. I power the unit up. Let's make sure it's switched on there. Give the unit some power, and I'm just getting a green screen at the moment. I'll just switch that back off. Yeah, that's my monitor's off, and switch it on, and I just get a green screen like that up to now. It's definitely doing something, because if we get the keyboard down, just switch that light off. Oops, that's perhaps a little bit too dark. See if I can, there we go, that's better, isn't it? As you can see, we've got power, light, caps lock, and if I actually press the caps lock key, so the keyboard is getting power, the keyboard seems to be working okay. I'm not getting anything on screen so far, but what I will say is I'm not getting 5 volts on the 5 volts line. Let me just hook my meter up so I can show you. If I get a good ground on there, and I get my meter, which has obviously got caught up in everything. Now, this IC here, this one is the video driver, and the 2 end pins here, the first one will be the 12 volts line, the second one will be the 5 volts line. So now if we probe the 12 volts line, so I will just, there we go, I'm probing on the 12 volts line. If we look up at the meter, yeah, 12.38 volts, that's pretty much fine. That's exactly what I'd expect. Now if we come back down and we probe on the 5 volts line, which is the next one along, 4.73. now 4.9, 4.95, yeah, 4.85. I'd be really pushing it. 4.74. I think that line's a little bit low to run properly, and I've checked it everywhere else I can. If we look over on this ROM here, I'm just going there. Generally speaking, pin 1 is usually VCC, which is the 5 volts line, and there we go, 4.73. There's something is dragging the 5 volts line down. Now I've already replaced most of the electrolytic capacitors on this, and yeah, it did bring it, oh, it was used to be a little bit lower than that. It was like 4.4, and after I've changed the electrolytic capacitors, it has brought it up a bit, but we still don't have anything working properly. I suppose my next thing to do is dig the scope out, dig the logic probe out, have a probe around and see if there's anything actually running in the processor, running in any of the ROMs, anything else is getting to the video. We can obviously just see we're just getting a basic output from the video. I think that it'd do that with no input to it at all. Anyway, that's as far as I've got so far. So if nothing else, I think I've got a very interesting case for Spectrum project, but hopefully I can get this thing up and running and perhaps use it as a input terminal for a Unix project, or I've got an interesting Cambridge 380Z which I think you can connect up to a terminal. That might be quite interesting to play with. Anyway, just thought I'd let you all see what I've got and what I'm playing with at present. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.